I was around 12 years old when my parents decided to move to another country and left us kids behind. I remember feeling sad every day, missing my mom, and wishing I could hug her one last time. During that period, it felt like an eternity. I was constantly sad, and my teachers at school began to notice my depression, even though I had no idea I was experiencing it. One of my teachers told me she wanted to see me after school, and I became scared, fearing I had done something wrong. Later, she explained that she wanted me to see a therapist with her. She said it wasn't healthy how I avoided speaking to anyone, refrained from smiling like other kids, quit attending PE class, and my grades were dropping. I remained hesitant because seeking therapy was uncommon in my society, especially within my family. Consequently, I didn't go to see her after school. Instead, I returned home and tried to avoid her the following day, and so on. Years passed, and we gradually grew accustomed to not having our parents around. One day, our aunt called us. She sounded concerned and wanted to ensure that we were doing okay. She mentioned she would come to pick us up for lunch. My sister had always been close to her, so she was excited, but I felt distant from our aunt, doubting she liked me much. She considered me peculiar because I kept my thoughts to myself and wasn't as expressive as my sister. People often misunderstood me. I'm just an introvert, and I take time to open up. It takes me a while to build trust and feel comfortable around others. Nonetheless, people frequently jumped to conclusions, assuming I had an attitude problem, which wasn't the case. In any case, we went for lunch, and to my surprise, it wasn't a bad experience at all. She invited us back to her place, where we watched TV, and she generously provided us with a variety of unhealthy snacks. It was during that summer vacation that I began to notice the peculiar behavior of my uncle, my aunt's husband. He remained the imposing figure I remembered from my childhood, but something about him had changed. He was now making an excessive effort to be friendly towards me, which left me feeling uncomfortable. He frequently offered to take me to a convenience store or the movies to explore nearby malls, always finding excuses to spend time alone with me. Nobody else seemed to notice anything unusual, they assumed it was normal, believing he simply adored me, a sentiment even his wife shared. All of this made me really uncomfortable, to the point where I didn't want to visit their house anymore. My aunt kept saying mean things about my dad, trying to make us dislike him. She seemed to enjoy making us fight with each other. I couldn't quite figure her out, but I always felt negative vibes from her, like she was toxic. Because of this, I talked to her less and less, and it was clear that she didn't like me much because of it. It felt like no matter what I did, I could never make her happy. Looking back, I think maybe she acted this way because she didn't get much love and attention from her own parents. My uncle's behavior was deeply concerning. He acted inappropriately without my aunt's knowledge. I reached my breaking point during one of our outings to the movies. He handed me the movie tickets in a strangely intimate manner, expressing a desire for me to keep them as a keepsake. I found it uncomfortable, and discreetly discarded the tickets once he walked away. I grappled with thoughts that maybe I was overanalyzing the situation, that it wasn't as unusual as it felt. Nevertheless, I couldn't comprehend why he would act that way if there were no underlying intentions. I felt perplexed and ill at ease. I confided in my sister, but she didn't share my concerns. She believed my uncle simply cared deeply for me, and lacking a daughter of his own, wanted to provide for me generously. Comparing this to my dad, I never experienced discomfort around him. He never engaged in unusual behavior or made me feel uneasy. My dad never asked me to sit on his lap or held my hands in an inappropriate manner. My uncles justified his actions by stating that, at 14 years old, I was still a child, and it was acceptable to hold a child's hand or allow them to sit on one's lap. Hearing this explanation left me feeling deeply disgusted with myself. It was a challenging and confusing time for me. I grappled with conflicting emotions, trying to understand the intentions behind my uncle's actions while feeling isolated and unheard. Despite my sister's reassurances, I couldn't shake off the uneasy feeling that something was genuinely wrong. I wanted to protect myself from further discomfort, but I also needed someone to validate my concerns. As days passed, I became more determined to handle this difficult situation and keep myself safe. I decided to talk to someone who I thought could help, my best friend. We've known each other for years and shared our secrets. I felt she would be the one person who could provide an objective perspective. One evening, we sat down at her mom's place, and with a heavy heart, I began to recount my experiences with my uncle. I told her about the romantic gestures, the discomfort, and the conflicting emotions that had been gnawing at me. To my relief, my friend listened attentively and took my concerns seriously. She didn't brush them off or dismiss them as overthinking. Instead, she offered a thoughtful perspective. She suggested that I trust my instincts, and don't go there anymore. She encouraged me to tell my parents since I was only 14. I was embarrassed, so I didn't say anything. However, having someone validate my feelings and offered support was a turning point for me. I decided to cut all ties with my uncle and aunts. However, as I began to avoid him and stay home more frequently, he would persistently call my home phone, insisting on speaking with me. On occasion, he pressured me into visiting his home under the pretext of a normal family gathering to watch a movie. One evening, my sister and I were at his house, and my friend's mother arrived to pick me. I said my farewells to everyone and prepared to leave. My uncle made an unexpected move. He came towards me and kissed me on the lips, even though his wife was present. Due to his imposing stature, his wife did not notice the incident. I was overwhelmed with panic and disgust, so I ran from the situation as quickly as possible. This time, I decided to share the unsettling events with others. My sister finally believed me. I came to understanding that it wasn't her fault for not believing me initially. Both of us were naive and unaware of the situation. The support I received from my neighbor and others was a turning point. They helped me realize that I needed to prioritize my safety and told my parents about it. It was a relief, and from that point forward, I never went back to my uncle's house ever again. I am proud of myself that I spoke up even though they tried to trash talk me by shifting all the blames on me. I didn't care. I maintained my distance, and it was the best thing I did as a 14 years old. Today, he is gone from this world, and yes, I have found the strength to forgive him. But if this ever happens to any young girl out there, I encourage you, speak up. Your voice is your armor, and your silence is their shield. Let them know, because speaking up is how we stop them.